101 review. Book 101 is all about the books that I've read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She's an entrepreneur, author, keynote speaker, and activist. No other than Miss Jodi Bondi Norgaard. Welcome to Book 101, Miss Jody, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
I am Jodi Bondi Norgaard, and I am the author of More Than a Doll: How Creating a Sports Doll Turned into a Fight to End Gender Stereotype. I'm also an entrepreneur, a keynote speaker, and an activist.
Miss Jody Bondi Norgaard, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world. And more than a doll, can you tell us about it?
Sure. More Than a Doll is about my entrepreneurial journey of starting a sports doll for girls and breaking gender stereotypes when there were 72 lines of fashion dolls out there. Just giving girls something that represented who they are right now: strong, smart, and adventurous. And thinking I had the next best idea, which, according to some, I did. But when I entered the toy industry, it not so much. I had a lot of pushback, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of no's, about 500 no's, until I got one yes, because it only takes one yes, right? And that one yes was from Walmart. So I ended up being in Walmart stores and selling my business, and then working with the Biden administration and their Gender Policy Council. So it's about perseverance, determination, all which was fueled by passion.
Indeed, passion is the number one key. If you have the passion of what you're doing, even if you're tired, you have the dedication to do it. What are your struggles in writing more than a doll?
Struggles in writing More Than a Doll. When I never sought out to be an author. One thing that I have realized is there are so many stories that need to be heard from people out there, for sure. Putting your thoughts down on paper and realizing that you're writing a good story, a really good story, but then you're going to have people to help you make it even better. Yeah, the editors. So I worked with multiple editors. Working with my agents, an editor, and then the publisher. They have their editing team looking it over, and still, I mean, there are things you're going to miss, but it does take a team to get the something out there.
For sure, something out there to tackle. Can you describe the moment the idea for more than a doll was born?
When the moment More Than a Doll was born,
Yes, Miss Jody.
I think it was in 2018, and I just decided that I needed to get my ideas down on paper, my thoughts down on paper, to help other people in their entrepreneurial journey and their actually life journey, to step over fear, find your courage, find your passion, and persist when things become difficult.
Interesting indeed. How did your own experiences with gender stereotypes influence the message behind the doll?
The message behind the doll was, girls like more than fashion. And that, when there are 72 lines of fashion dolls out there, that there's room for more. One of the analogies I use, because I had so many buyers tell me that, girls like fashion, but if that's all you're offered, then of course that's all you're going to buy, right? Because that's it.
Yes.
It's like the grocer saying, somebody's saying, hey, listen, I've got this great idea for almond butter, right? And the grocer saying, hey, listen, my entire customer base only likes peanut butter. Well, when there's only, peanut butter on the shelf, that's all that's going to be purchased, right? But when this nut butter was introduced, it not just blew up the nut butter industry, financially, in revenues. It didn't take away from the peanut butter revenue, but you're just offered, your consumers more than, what is was traditionally on shelves. And basically, that's what I was doing. I saw a need, and I saw, uh, it's called, have you heard of the term called Day? It's, Adam Grant. He's an organizational psychologist in Pennsylvania. But it's where you have, what deja vu is, right? It's like, gosh, I've had that thing, that memory or that thought before. And the Vuja Day is taking a product, right? And making and twisting it to put a different spin on it. So that's what I did, right? I took a normal doll, which we all know about, and then I made it different. But people aren't really, change is hard in a culture. Change is hard. So, I realized very soon, into my journey, that I wasn't really in the toy business, because so many buyers told me they wanted, fashion dolls, which there were too many of those out there, and they wanted. So I realized I was in the social change business. So my book is about, you know, the hybrid of social change and business, and how the two can meet and how the two can work.
So, Miss Jody, at what point did you realize this was about more than just a toy, that it was a movement?
Okay, say that last part again, Daniel. It's more than just a toy.
And it was a movement.
It was a movement, right? I just hung in there. It's This journey has been 20 years in the making. So I've been fighting for gender equality, uh, not just in the space of toys, but in media, in publishing, in more. I worked with the Biden administration in their Gender Policy Council, creating change in policy when it came to children's toys and media and content. So it's just recognizing that people are very diverse. They have multiple interests. I'm sure, Daniel, you have a ton of different interests, and so complicated, and so, just so many different things that you enjoy to do. And a lot of times when kids are younger, we start to pigeonhole them into believing that they need to act a certain way, they need to look a certain way. And it's not just girls, right? So when, around that age of 6, 7, and 8, we start to pigeonhole boys into more, aggression and violence, and girls into more about appearance and attractiveness. So, that never made sense to me, because I have two boys and they were never violent or aggressive, and I didn't want to encourage that. And my daughter is super smart, and I didn't want her to think that she, had to focus on her appearance. So anyway, it's just finding that good balance, and finding the, what's important to you, what makes you happy, and what will you be successful at in life.
Yes. What makes you happy is the important thing. Why do you think sports in particular are such a powerful tool for breaking down stereotypes?
How do sports, help break down gender stereotypes? Is that your question?
Yes, Miss Jody.
Uh, well, sports. I've always loved sports. I've just always enjoyed. It's always been my meditation, whether I'm running or golfing or playing tennis. It's just always been very social for me, and I it cleared my head. It always made me a better parent, a better friend. I like myself better. It cleared my head. So I found the benefits of, moving your body. It's not being a professional athlete. It's about enjoying sports. But sports also offers a leadership skill, and that leadership skill, whether you're what gender you are, if you're involved in that in a sport, the teamwork, this leadership skill, it you carry that into adult life, and which is necessary. And if women and girls aren't able to play as many sports, which we are now seeing this boom of sports, right, for women, and it's really amazing to see this road of women's sports professionally, and the financial part of it as well. But when kids are younger, right? Just say they're playing football, they're playing baseball, they're playing softball, whatever it may be. Those leadership skills extend into adult life. And that doesn't mean it has to be in sports, but those leadership skills are now taken into business life. It's taken into social life. It's, volunteer work, education, whichever realm you decide to go into or and use it. So we need kids to develop this, have the opportunity to develop these leadership skills and
Yes.
collaboration. Good collaboration.
Yes. Indeed, very well said, Miss Jody. We need to develop leadership for our generation. What were some of the most surprising things you learned while writing this book?
How much I enjoyed it. I
Hmm.
really, really enjoyed it. It was very, like I said, I never thought I'd ever be an author. Uh, but I'm really excited to write another book. I, again, it's just putting your thoughts down on paper, having telling your story, knowing that people enjoy reading about your story and giving them, in my, since mine is a nonfiction, giving them guidance and confidence, and hopefully be able to move forward on their idea or their product, or helping them in business, or helping them in their nonprofit, or helping them write a book. Seriously, I think a lot of people think, oh, I can't write a book because I don't know how, right? Well, really, when you
Yes.
nobody knows how. You just figure it out, right? You just have to ask questions and get that story, um, in writing.
Yes, indeed. So, Miss Jody, what advice would you give to other entrepreneurs who want to build a brand with a social impact?
To build a brand, what?
To build a brand with a social impact.
Uh, I would say again, if you're if you're wanting to build a brand, there's a couple things. You really need to ask a lot of questions. You need to figure it out. You need to have a marketing plan. And if that marketing plan, I have to say, like, I didn't always refer back to my marketing plan, but I pretty much stayed to it when I looked back at it. But it gives you, it's just like writing a book, right? You have to have that outline. Like, how am I going to do something? So, when you don't know how to do something, and one thing, when I entered the toy business, I didn't know anything about the toy industry at all. You just have to ask a lot of questions. And if that person doesn't have the right answer for you, the question to ask is, do you know who does? Or do you know the person who can help me figure this out?
Yes, definitely. And what will be your short term and long term goals as an author, entrepreneur, keynote speaker, and activist?
Well, my when you say short-term goals, what is your time frame?
Like for 5 years or 2 years,
When you say long-term goals, what is your time frame?
that will be 10 years and above.
Okay, that's what I would do too. So
Yes.
I would say my short-term goals within the next 5 years is to continue speaking, keynote speaking, to help entrepreneurs, to help strive for gender equality, to show the vulnerability, or the vulnerable side of being an entrepreneur, because it's not easy at all. I mean, nobody ever has a like, wow, that just worked out so well, and that was great. You did that so fast. That doesn't happen like that. You have to be persistent. So I guess my keynote speaking. I am talking to my publisher on Monday about writing another book. So, in the next 5 years, that is, keynote speaking, writing another book. Long term, I have written two children's books. I hope to write more within the next 10 years. And, this is a passion that really I kind of found out later in life, and I kind of wish I would have found out earlier. But I'm happy I found it.
Well, Miss Jody, good luck to your goals and looking for more success to what you are doing or what your projects that will come. How do you hope Modern Adult influences the next generations of young girls and boys?
How to influence the next generation of young girls? Well, to know that they're more than a doll, and to know that they're strong, smart,
Yes.
and adventurous. This doesn't only affect girls, by the way. It's a reflection, like, so if you see a lot of these images, Daniel, that we all see of, I don't know if you're familiar with, like, the Bratz dolls, right? Or even you could throw in Barbie, whatever. Sexualized dolls. It doesn't only affect, and it's not just dolls, it's in products all over. But it's not only how girls believe in themselves and see themselves, this is how boys see them, how boys see girls as well. So I'm basically sounding the siren that this gender inequality doesn't start in our teens or in our 20s. It starts the moment a child can hold a toy, a book, or watch a screen. So it's focusing on the earlier part, giving kids, boys and girls, more products that are emotionally and mentally healthy for both of them. So that's what I'm striving for.
Did you face any pressure to tone down the message while writing and marketing your book?
That one was hard for me to hear, Daniel. I'm sorry. It's kind of
Did you face any pressure to tone down the message while writing or marketing your book?
to tone down the message.
Yes, for your book itself.
Mm, no, I don't. No, no,
No,
like tone
not at
down the
all.
message. No,
Not
if
at
I'm
all.
answering your question correctly, no.
That'd be awesome. Miss Jody, so how has your definition of success evolved since launching the doll and writing the book itself?
How has been the success?
Yes, how do you define success?
How do I define success? Well, I think in our culture that, we would define success as monetarily, and I don't necessarily, um, it can be success in creating social change, success in helping others. I'm more into the social aspect of things, to how can we help other people, thinking about others, thinking about this next generation and how we can create a healthy environment for them. It is quite the uphill battle, I will admit, but I'm fighting for all our kids, to give them healthier uh, products and images and a better. There's a lot of work to be done, and this is just one avenue, Daniel. There are so many different parts. You look at social media, you look at uh, you know well, social media is a huge one right now, and that's something that a lot of people are tackling, but it constantly changes, so it's difficult for people to keep on top of it. But I would like to see some uh, better restrictions for children, in that area, and healthier products for them to choose from. Again, there's nothing wrong with fashion dolls. If that's what you want, that's fine. But people
Yes.
should have options.
Definitely, totally agree with you, Miss Jody. So, are there more products, stories, or initiatives coming under more than a doll brand?
Are there more products coming? Well, I do have the Go Go Sports Girl books online. If anybody is interested in, uh, they're on Amazon right now. So those are great. I did not write those, Daniel. I hired an author about 10 years ago when my product was in Walmart. So that she wrote that for 6 books, and they're great. We've sold 25,000 books, so that's a nice number.
Nice. Good job, Miss Jody. But before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry on second season, and book 101 review in fifth season, comedy 101 in second season, and food 101 in its fifth season as well. Geography 101 and love letters in third season, and my baby podcast, Mental Health 101. Movie 101 review and music 101 in its fourth season, and science 101 and sex 101 in its first season. Please do listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Jody, if readers take away just one message from your book, what do you hope it is?
If you take away one message, I would say, find your passion, step over fear, find your courage, um, find your determination, and always remember to persist when things become difficult, because it will.
Miss Jodi Bondi Norgaard, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world. And we are hoping for more and more and more empowering books like this to come. So, can you please invite our listeners to support More Than a Doll?
Well, thank you for having me, Daniel.
Yes, you are most welcome. And where they can buy your book?
Where can you buy my book? It's Amazon or Barnes and Noble, bookshop, and so yeah, anywhere. It's around.
Anywhere books are sold. People, let's support Miss Jodi Norgaard, because if you support her, more and more and more empowering books like this to come. So, Miss Jodi Bondi Norgaard, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your time, Danielle. Take care.
More to come, people. See you soon.